At dawn in the French countryside of Poche-sur-Cisse, the air is filled with birdsong as Mick Jagger, yes, the same man who has electrified stadiums for 6 decades, leads a small flock of sheep across the dewy grass. It's a scene worlds apart from the wild chaos of a Rolling Stones concert, where pyrotechnics and roaring crowds define the night. Here, Jagger is not the untouchable rock god, but a man who finds peace in the rhythms of rural life. Today, we'll step inside his French farm, explore his wealth, cars, and surprising lifestyle. But first, let's rewind to his early life and career. Michael Philip Jagger was born on July 26, 1943, in Dartford, Kent, England, the son of a schoolteacher and a homemaker. From the very beginning, music seemed to pulse through his veins. As a child, he sang in the church choir and listened obsessively to American blues and early rock and roll records. Unlike many future rock stars who struggled in school, Jagger was a bright student, but his passion was always for rhythm and melody. One of the most fateful encounters in music history happened in October 1961, when Mick Jagger ran into an old childhood acquaintance, Keith Richards, on a train platform. Jagger was carrying records by Chuck Berry and Muddy Waters under his arm. Richards immediately recognized a kindred spirit. That chance meeting ignited a partnership that would shape rock history. By 1962, with guitarist Brian Jones, pianist Ian Stewart, bassist Bill Wyman, and drummer Charlie Watts, they formed the Rolling Stones. The Stones began as a scrappy London blues band, but by the mid-1960s, they had become part of the British invasion that stormed America alongside the Beatles. Where the Beatles projected boyish charm, the Stones cultivated danger and swagger, with Jagger's electric stage presence at the center. Songs like Satisfaction, 1965, Paint It Black, 1966, and Sympathy for the Devil, 1968, cemented their reputation as the darker, grittier alternative to pop perfection. Over the decades, the Stones released more than 100 albums, including compilations and live recordings, and played over 2,000 concerts worldwide. Between 1989 and 2001 alone, their tours grossed over $1.5 billion, making them one of the most lucrative acts in history. Through it all, Jagger was the undeniable frontman, commanding audiences with a mix of charisma, sensuality, and sheer endurance that few performers have ever matched. Even while leading one of the most successful bands of all time, Jagger also pursued a solo career. His debut, She's the Boss, 1985, showed he could thrive outside the Stones' shadow. Primitive Cool, 1987, and Wandering Spirit, 1992 followed, the latter earning critical praise and commercial success with tracks like Sweet Thing. His fourth solo album, Goddess in the Doorway, 2001, was less commercially impactful, but revealed his continued drive to experiment. Not content to rest on past glories, Jagger also dabbled in supergroups and soundtracks. In 2011, he co-founded Super Heavy, alongside Dave Stewart, Joss Stone, Damian Marley, and A.R. Rahman. Their fusion of rock, reggae, and world music was an adventurous, if short-lived, experiment. More recently, in 2022, he earned an Emmy nomination for the haunting theme song Strange Game, written for the Apple TV Plus spy drama Slow Horses. What makes Jagger's career so astonishing is not just its longevity, but its adaptability. He was an icon of youthful rebellion, a seasoned performer still selling out stadiums into his 80s, and even a respected songwriter for television dramas. Few artists have managed to stay relevant across 7 decades, but Jagger's relentless energy has made him as timeless as the songs he sings. Yet for all the pyrotechnics and sold-out tours, Jagger has also cultivated another side, one that surprises fans used to his rock god persona. Away from the chaos of the stage, he slips into a quieter rhythm of life. French farm in Poche-sur-Cisse. In the early 1980s, when the Rolling Stones were still storming the world's biggest stages, Mick Jagger made a real estate move that surprised everyone. Instead of buying a Manhattan penthouse or a Malibu beach villa like so many rock icons, he chose a country estate in Poche-sur-Cisse, a small village in France's Loire Valley. The price at the time was about 2.2 million francs, a modest figure compared to Jagger's fortune, but the value of peace and privacy here was priceless. The property once belonged to the Duc de Choiseul, an 18th-century French nobleman, and in Jagger's hands, it became a secret retreat far away from the chaos of fame. The architecture feels timeless. Thick stone walls, exposed wooden beams, and a roof of weathered tiles that anchor the house firmly in history. Walking the grounds, you'll find orchards heavy with fruit, a lily pond mirroring the French sky, and wide-open pastures stretching down toward the hills. For American fans, it evokes the feeling of a Virginia farm ranch, but dressed with a French poetic touch, a quieter, more romantic rhythm that only the Loire can provide. The property isn't just a home, but also a functioning farm. It includes a stable for horses and grazing land for livestock. And yes, Jagger didn't just buy it for show. He leaned into the pastoral life. One now viral clip shows him awkwardly herding sheep across the field, only to suddenly drop into a round of jumping jacks at age 70. The image is unforgettable. The world's most famous rock frontman, once the embodiment of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, now looking perfectly at ease leading sheep and exercising in the morning sun. For Jagger, the farm is what he calls his peaceful haven in the Valley of Kings. Here, among the chateaux and vineyards of Loire, he found balance. This was where he often brought his children, and where he hosted his 70th birthday celebration with family and close friends. Instead of a flashy London gala or a New York rooftop party, it was a gathering in nature, simple, warm, and profoundly personal. What makes this property so compelling is that it reveals a side of Mick Jagger few fans ever imagined. Behind the leather pants, the famous strut, and the stadium anthems lies a man who also craves silence and space. In Poche-sur-Cisse, he is not the untouchable rock god, but simply Mick, walking through orchards, feeding animals, and enjoying the luxury of a quiet morning. From the green pastures of the Loire Valley, Jagger's real estate story takes us on a dramatic leap across the globe, to the Caribbean island of Mustique, where his seaside villa redefines what rockstar luxury looks like. Mustique Island, Caribbean, Stargrove's Villa. Known as Stargrove's Villa, this oceanfront estate is one of the crown jewels in Jagger's real estate portfolio, and perhaps the most extravagant. Nestled among the secluded beaches and turquoise waters of Mustique, the villa blends the intimacy of a private home with the grandeur of a five-star resort. The property features a 6-bedroom villa spread across 7 separate pavilions, all linked by elegant wooden walkways. This layout creates both privacy and connection, a design that allows Jagger and his guests to retreat to their own corners while still feeling like part of one seamless tropical residence. Each pavilion opens directly to the sea breeze, framed by lush gardens and panoramic views of the Caribbean horizon. What makes Stargrove's particularly fascinating is its dual identity. On one hand, it's Jagger's private sanctuary, a place where he can bring family, friends, and fellow musicians to relax far away from paparazzi lenses. On the other, it's also a revenue-generating property, available for rent at rates ranging from $30,000 to $50,000 per week. In true rockstar style, the villa pays for itself by doubling as one of the most exclusive vacation rentals in the Caribbean. The amenities are as lavish as you'd expect. The villa's natural-style swimming pool, framed by volcanic rock and palm trees, feels less like a man-made feature and more like a hidden lagoon. Indoors, there's a media room equipped for private screenings, a game room for leisure, and of course, a staff of butlers, chefs, and housekeepers who ensure guests live in effortless comfort. Every detail whispers exclusivity, from the hand-carved furniture to the infinity views that blur the line between ocean and sky. Stories from Mustique have long fueled the mystique. Guests talk about impromptu jam sessions on the deck, with Jagger strumming guitar as waves crash nearby. Others recall intimate dinners under the stars, where the line between family time and rock royalty glamour vanishes. For Jagger, Stargroves is both playground and fortress, an extension of the lifestyle he's earned after decades of global touring. And while the villa remains his private getaway, its availability for rent has turned it into something larger, a legend in its own right. To stay at Stargroves is to quite literally live like a rock star, if only for a week. From the horse pastures of the Loire to the turquoise waters of Mustique, Jagger's real estate tells a story of contrasts, rural calm and tropical extravagance. But his passions don't stop at houses. Away from the stage, another obsession has long defined him. A love affair with cars and motorcycles that reflects just as much about who Mick Jagger really is. Car collection. One of the crown jewels in Jagger's collection, this classic Cadillac comes from the golden age of American luxury. Under the hood, it carries a V8 engine with 135 horsepower, capable of hitting around 90 mph, a marvel in its time. Today, a pristine 355e can fetch $120,000 or more at auction. For Jagger, this isn't just a car, it's a time machine. He often jokes that sliding behind its enormous steering wheel feels like slipping into the 1930s swing era. He once took it out for a countryside drive in England, wearing a fedora for the full effect, and fans who spotted him said it was like watching a black-and-white movie suddenly spring to life. On the opposite end of the timeline sits the Cadillac CT6, a modern, full-size luxury sedan. Powered by a 3.6L V6 engine with 335 horsepower and loaded with technology, adaptive cruise, night vision, massaging seats, the CT6 is Cadillac's answer to the German giants. With a value of around $60,000, it isn't the most expensive car in Jagger's life, but it's among the most practical for business. Friends say he often uses it when traveling between London and Paris, enjoying its quiet cabin as a moving office. More than once, he's been spotted scribbling lyrics in a notebook while the CT6 glided down the motorway, turning commute time into creative time. If the CT6 is about work, the Mercedes-Benz S500 is about comfort. Sporting a 5.0L V8 engine with 302 horsepower, it goes 0 to 60 mph in about 6 seconds, a blend of speed and grace. Market value today hovers around $15,000, $20,000 on the used market. But for Jagger, it has been priceless. This was the car he leaned on during hectic family years. With a suspension that soaks up bumps and an interior that cocoons its passengers, the S500 gave him rare moments of stillness. He often rehearsed lyrics quietly in the back seat while being chauffeured, jotting down lines as if the hum of the engine were part of the rhythm. Then there's the Curveball, a Nissan Qashqai, the compact crossover beloved by suburban families across Europe. With a 1.3L turbocharged engine producing 148 horsepower and a market value of roughly $20,000, it's hardly glamorous. But that's exactly why Jagger loves it. To him, it's the ultimate disguise. A rock legend doing grocery runs like any other local. In fact, there's a story from Poche-sur-Cisse. Neighbors once spotted him loading sheep feed into the back of the Qashqai, laughing at the image of the world's greatest frontman fussing with farm supplies. As Jagger himself has quipped, even rock stars need to go shopping. And just as his cars take him down open roads, his life on the move often calls for something faster, higher, and with the Stones' famous logo painted on the side. Because when Mick Jagger travels the world, he doesn't just drive, he flies. Private jets. Back in the 1970s and 1980s, the band flew in custom Boeing 737s and later a Boeing 767, each emblazoned with their unmistakable red lips and tongue logo. For fans, seeing that jetland was like a pre-show spectacle, a declaration that the circus had arrived in town. Inside, the plane was no ordinary charter. It featured 68 business-class seats, lounges, and workspaces, offering enough room for the band, crew, managers, and sometimes even family. It wasn't just transport, it was a flying headquarters. Jagger himself often described the jet as both practical and surreal. Practical, because the Stones needed to move an entire touring village of people and equipment across continents. Surreal, because stepping inside felt like entering a private world where rock and roll ruled the skies. Between champagne toasts, lyric scribbles, and jam sessions on acoustic guitars, many Stones memories were born at 30,000 feet. Today, the setup is more discreet. Rather than maintaining a permanent private plane, Jagger and the Stones opt for charter flights, which cost around $8,000 per flight hour. This flexibility allows them to choose aircraft suited to each tour's demands, whether short hops across Europe or long hauls to the Americas and Asia. The lips and tongue branding may be gone, but the spirit of the airborne rock circus remains. But the jets, like the cars and houses, are only pieces of Jagger's empire. To truly understand the scale of his fortune, we need to look at decades of record sales, tours, and investments that have made him one of the wealthiest musicians alive. Income and net worth. His net worth is estimated at around $600 million, making him one of the richest rock stars alive, in the same league as Elton John and Paul McCartney. The foundation of that wealth is, of course, the Rolling Stones. With over 200 million albums sold worldwide, their catalog continues to generate staggering royalties each year. Classics like Satisfaction and Painted Black aren't just cultural touchstones, they're annuities, streamed and licensed across movies, commercials, and TV shows. For Jagger, the Stones' music is a perpetual money machine. Touring, however, has been the real financial rocket. Few acts in history have earned more on the road. The Stones' A Bigger Bang tour, 2005 to 2007, grossed $558 million, ranking among the highest-grossing tours of all time. A decade later, the 2018 tour brought in another $117 million, and even as recently as 2021, the No Filter tour grossed $60 million. Each tour not only packed stadiums, but also kept Jagger's bank account firmly in the superstar stratosphere. Beyond the Stones, Jagger has built a portfolio of side projects. His solo career includes 4 albums, collaborations with legends like Michael Jackson, State of Shock, and David Bowie, Dancing in the Street, proving his ability to thrive outside the Stones' shadow. He also stepped into film with Jagged Films, producing projects like Enigma, 2001, and the documentary Being Mick, 2001. On screen, he acted in cult classics such as Performance, 1970, and Ned Kelly, 1970, adding another layer to his creative brand. Even in recent years, Jagger has continued to diversify. In 2023, he launched his own line of harmonicas, a nod to his iconic blues roots. He's also invested in cricket coverage, reflecting his global interests and British heritage. And in a more personal financial twist, he inherited about $9 million in 2014 following the tragic death of his partner, designer L. Ren Scott. What sets Jagger apart isn't just the numbers, though. They're almost unfathomable already. It's his ability to remain financially relevant across generations. From vinyl to streaming, from packed stadiums to chartered jets, he's navigated every evolution of the music industry and come out richer on the other side. But if his empire proves his business acumen, his philanthropy proves his heart. Because for all the records sold and millions earned, Jagger has consistently turned his attention and his wallet toward causes that matter. Philanthropy. One of his most visible commitments has been to the Elton John AIDS Foundation, one of the world's leading nonprofits in the fight against HIV/AIDS. Jagger's involvement, both financially and as a public advocate, has helped the foundation raise hundreds of millions for research, treatment, and education. Alongside longtime friend Elton John, Jagger used his global platform to remind fans that rock and responsibility can coexist. Closer to home in the UK, Jagger has supported the Prince's Trust, the youth charity founded by Prince Charles, now King Charles III. The trust has helped over 1 million disadvantaged young people through training, education, and job opportunities. Jagger's donations and appearances at benefit events have made him part of a legacy that stretches beyond music into social mobility and youth empowerment. Perhaps his most iconic philanthropic moment came at Live Aid in 1985, when the Rolling Stones joined forces with other megastars to perform in one of the most watched concerts in history. The event raised over $125 million for famine relief in Ethiopia, proving once and for all that music could change the world not only culturally, but materially. Jagger's performance alongside Tina Turner remains one of the unforgettable highlights of that day. He has also lent his voice and resources to Musicians Against Homelessness, a UK-based initiative that uses concerts and awareness campaigns to tackle the growing problem of homelessness. For Jagger, who once sang about life in the margins and the grit of working-class struggle, the cause resonates deeply. What ties all these efforts together is Jagger's consistency. He has never styled himself as a saint, far from it, but time and again he's chosen to stand with organizations fighting for health, equity, and dignity. In doing so, he's proven that behind the rock god persona is a man who understands the power of giving. Mick Jagger is not just a rock man, he is, in every sense, a giving man. And while his philanthropy has touched millions, his personal life has been just as full of love stories, family ties, and a legacy that spans generations. Personal life. Over the decades, he's been linked with some of the most famous women in the world, fathered 8 children with 5 different partners, and yet somehow managed to keep his sprawling family surprisingly close-knit. His only official marriage was to Bianca Jagger, the Nicaraguan-born socialite and actress, whom he wed in 1971. Their wedding in Saint-Tropez was a media circus, attended by the likes of Yves Saint Laurent and Brigitte Bardot. Bianca quickly became a style icon, but the marriage lasted just 7 years, ending in divorce in 1978. Still, Bianca remains part of the extended Jagger story, remembered as the woman who brought a dose of jet-set glamour to the Rolling Stones era. Even before and after that marriage, Jagger's romantic entanglements were legendary. He had a long and complicated relationship with Marianne Faithfull, the singer-songwriter who was herself an icon of the 1960s counterculture. With Marsha Hunt, an American singer and actress, he fathered his first child, Karis Jagger, born in 1970. Karis went on to become a philanthropist and producer, and Jagger has often spoken about how her birth grounded him during the chaos of the Stones' peak years. Perhaps his most famous partnership was with Jerry Hall, the statuesque Texan model. Their relationship spanned over 2 decades, and together they had 4 children: Elizabeth, James, Georgia May, and Gabriel. Their union gave Jagger the image of family man, even as his rock star escapades continued, and their children have since become celebrities in their own right. Georgia May, in particular, has become an acclaimed model, carrying the Jagger charisma into the fashion world. Later relationships added more branches to the family tree. With Brazilian model Luciana Morad, Jagger had a son, Lucas, in 1999. His longtime partner, L. Ren Scott, a fashion designer, tragically took her own life in 2014, leaving Jagger devastated and inheriting roughly $9 million. Since 2014, he has been with Melanie Hamrick, a former American ballet theater dancer nearly 40 years his junior. Together, they welcomed a son, Devereaux Octavian Basil Jagger, in 2016, making Jagger a father again at the age of 73. Even at 80, he maintains a lean frame and boundless energy, proof that discipline and genetics have helped him defy age. And of course, he continues to perform with the Stones, proving night after night that he is still rock's greatest showman. And that's the essence of Jagger. Not just a singer or a star, but a man who continues to surprise, whether it's with a sheep farm in France or another Rolling Stones tour. From Dartford to Paris, from Madison Square Garden to a quiet farm in the Loire Valley, Mick Jagger's life is a story of astonishing contrasts. He is the eternal showman on stage, yet also the man who finds peace herding sheep in the French countryside. Jagger proves that even legends can reinvent themselves, balancing chaos with calm, fame with fatherhood. Thank you for joining us on this journey inside the unexpected life of the Rolling Stones frontman. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more stories of icons, their homes, and their fortunes.